Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown on the NFL Draft Week as it's about to take place here in Pittsburgh. We have plenty of that chatter coming up. We're also going to get into the Pirates and the fact that they are now in the best division in baseball. How many people saw that? We'll talk about what's going on with the Pirates, who are winners today, taking 2 of 3 from the Rays. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Penguins, who are losers at home. Here to talk about it, Ray Fittipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It's going to be a busy week for Ray. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and the Big Ten Network, and Chris Mueller, PM Team 93.7 The Fan. So I'm going to start with this general question about what happened last night. Chris, we'll start with you. I thought it was physicality and speed. The Flyers had that going on all the way down the stretch, and I think the Penguins couldn't answer it. What was the reason they really took control of that game from the beginning, I thought?
Well, I thought it was also sloppiness, and maybe you can say physicality and speed begets that in the opposition, but I just thought the Penguins, they looked like a team that hadn't completed a pass tape to tape to each other in, longer than 5 feet. I thought the puck management was shoddy. It was indecisive kind of behavior in their own zone. They were supposed to be the team with not just Crosby, Malkin, Letang, but also Raquel, like a bunch of been there, done that guys on that roster as far as playoff runs go relative to the Flyers. They looked like a team that was old, that was feeble, and that frankly didn't belong in there. And I thought it was one of their worst performances, bar none, of the whole season. So I would just say the puck management and the ability to make crisp, decisive kind of choices was what really did them in.
I want to make this clear too, Mike, is that this is a good Philadelphia team that's been playing really good, a high level, 18-6-1 in their last 25. And I think they won it, and they forced Pittsburgh into a lot of this.
Yeah, and I thought the strategy that Tocchet came out with was terrific, and that it wasn't matched by Dan Muse, and it wasn't countered by Dan Muse. They did not seem to have an answer for what Philadelphia was doing, especially around the blue line. It was really hard for the Penguins to get past, and they didn't opt to dump and chase. And when they did dump, they didn't chase very well. I thought that in a sense, what I was watching, I said to myself, when they're not being outcoached, they're being outplayed, and when they're not being outplayed, they're being outcoached. I thought their second period was a solid period, but first and third, they did not look effective at all. The shot total reflected that, and they need to find an answer. If you're being played a certain way, what's your answer? And I didn't think they had any answers on Saturday night.
Yeah, I thought Rick Tocchet had a good night. If you looked at the first power play the Penguins had, the Flyers really forced the issue. They were up on the pucks. They were winning puck battles. And the Penguins never really made that adjustment throughout the entire game. But listen, that's what the playoffs are all about. It's about making adjustments from game to game. One game doesn't mean everything, but the Flyers certainly had a good night on Saturday.
The other thing was they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. I thought coming into this, they're going to try to be annoying. They have guys on that team who can do that. And the Penguins seem to fall prey to that, which is something I didn't think would happen in Game 1.
Maybe, but I also just thought they got thoroughly outplayed. That isn't a huge worry to me that they've got Garnet Hathaway is going to do his thing, and even their regular kind of name players that people know are going to do their thing. At some point, I think the coaching matters here, obviously, and Muse has pushed a ton of right buttons. They didn't dump and chase enough. They didn't go to work. Their fourth line occasionally got them momentum because they went to work, to what Mike was saying. But, man, I'm going to put this back on. You have Sidney Crosby. He's still a point-per-game player. You have Evgeny Malkin. He was still a point-per-game player this year. You have Erik Karlsson. He was a dominant force down the stretch. It isn't too much sometimes in your analysis to just say, hey, you three guys, be a lot better than you were because you're the ones who are supposed to be dictating terms, especially at home. That might be the most alarming thing. Philly came out and did this in a road environment. Maybe you could say that makes
with a lot of young guys who've never been through this.
And listen, I'll throw this out there. Maybe you can say that was a weird advantage to them as long as they could handle their nerves because they were going to play simple hockey, and maybe the Penguins tried to do too much. But you better adjust quickly because if you go back into that snake pit down 2-0, you can just about write this thing off.
That doesn't go well. Down 2-0 in any series. There have been exceptions to that, but you don't want to be in that situation. Mike, I want to ask you about what you do. Chris mentioned adjustments. What about line changes? Because they have some guys who they flipped around recently. I think there are got to get back to the comfort level they had earlier in the season with some of these line combinations.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see Blake Lizotte back. He's one of my favorite players on this team, always brings it. But I thought that not bringing Brazo back into the third line was a mistake. I never understood the move of Chinnikov to the first line. Not that he wasn't playing great, but I thought that when he was playing with Malkin before Malkin got hurt, that was when things really started to get going for him. And I thought, why not go back to that? So I think that getting back to what made this team special during the regular season would be a good move. The first line has been together for so long, Raquel, Rust, Sid. Why not go back to that and get back to where you're at your best?
Yeah, Brazeau's an energy guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be back in the lineup. There's going to be changes. When you play like that, you know there's going to be changes. The one thing about this team, Bob, is they've responded throughout the season, right, and I would expect a response on Monday night.
Yeah, they've done that pretty much all year, so I would expect that, given the desperation factor there is also. I want to ask you about their defense pairings. Girard and Letang were put together, and Girard looks like he's just an energizing guy skating all over the place, which is not necessarily what he needs to be doing with a guy who normally does it. What do you do there?
I don't know. I think that's a tough spot for Dan Muse because I was all over the Chris Letang. This isn't going so well. And then down the stretch, I did think his play upticked, and I actually thought that pairing was pretty solid. Believe it or not, to me, you have to ask more of Chris Letang. Hey, man, you're a veteran. You've been doing this for a very long time with these guys. Like, it's incumbent on you not to make so many forays of fancy into the offensive zone. If Girard's the younger player who also wants to do that, I think you've got to ask Letang to be more of a physical veteran who stays at home. That's playing against type, but you're not asking him to be the best offensive defenseman on the ice. You have Erik Karlsson for that.
Right.
I thought Girard did some really nice things when he was doing the end-to-end rushes. I thought those created some opportunities, or at least the possibility of an opportunity in a game where there weren't a lot of them. But I did not like a lot of the spin moves he was making at the blue line when they were already either in a 1-1 game or down a goal. I thought that those were too risky and not rewarding enough. Karlsson, I think, made one of those moves all year, and his wasn't even a full spin. It was just sort of a slip his shoulder under, and then it turned into a great play. I thought that was too much risk in a game like this. If you're up a couple of goals and you want to take a chance, I don't have any problem with that. But when you're in a game like that where everything that could happen could be the end of the game in a sense, you can't be that risky.
If there's one word to you, Ray, would it be simplify? Does that make sense? If you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, just don't try to over and be hero hockey. We see a lot of that going on.
I thought Skinner bailed them out early, and then if you look at some of the defensive mistakes in that game was from the forwards. Malkin had a couple of giveaways, led to some odd man breaks. Just keep it simple. Skinner played well, lean on him, and I think they got a chance to bounce back.
Real quick, who wins game 2? Three of you, give me an answer and a real quick assessment why.
I mean, I actually think the Penguins are going to bounce back and win this game because I still believe they're the better team, and I just can't imagine a team with that many good veterans plays that poorly again because they did get to rest their guys. Like, they shouldn't have tired legs. They got a little bit of a break. I also just, I don't know, I look at this very quickly. They played a horrible hockey game and had a chance right on the doorstep with 5 seconds left to push this thing to overtime and, like, rip Philly's heart out. So as bad as they played, they lost by 1 goal and had a chance to tie it in the final 30 seconds.
I'll save you the time. Everything he said is absolutely on the money.
Multiple point game for Crosby. He hates the Flyers. He'll be the reason why.
Yeah, that needs to show up at some point. It may show up game 2, and then everything gets heated as we head back to Philadelphia. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. It's upon us now. It's going to be a wild week, hopefully a very successful week. What will a successful draft look like for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We'll ask that question next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. We're talking about the NFL draft, and it's coming to Pittsburgh. It's going to be a fascinating week. Round 1 on Thursday. So, Ray Fittipaldo, let me ask you, what will constitute a good draft weekend for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Not so much the entire event, but I'm talking about specifically the team.
I think weapons for Mike McCarthy. I think Art Rooney mentioned it when he made the hire. The offense has been lacking for the last several seasons. They need a receiver bad, Bob. They need weapons, not only for this season, for 2026, but for that future franchise quarterback. When they eventually get that guy, they have to be able to hit the ground running, and I think they could do that if they get a receiver in the first round, but if not the first round, in the second round.
I think they have to fill the 2 holes in the team, offensive guard, left guard, and a starting quality free safety. I don't think that you want to go through another year where you're sort of guessing at the free safety spot. So if you have the opportunity to get that in this draft, by all means, go for that. And, of course, left guard, you're wide open right there, right now. So those are the 2 things. I agree with Ray that you want to get a receiver, but I think that you have to make sure that if you do get the receiver first, that you cover those two pressing needs?
I think it's an interesting debate. The one thing I would disagree with Mike on is more of a categorical thing is safety as far as positional value. If Caleb Downs is there, okay, fine. But McNeil Warren from
He's
Toledo,
the unicorn.
there's not many Kyle Hamilton type players in any given draft. Venga Ioane is really tempting because the drop-off from him to the next tier down, we all know, is precipitous. And there is more depth in that wide receiver class. To me, I would like to see them take a wide receiver. Jordan Tyson would be a very interesting roll of the dice, but I think he's gone well before they pick now because teams are thinking he's healthy and he's a game breaker. Here is my two things. Do the two things those guys said, guard and wide receiver. And I'll look right into the camera if I have to here. Do not draft Ty Simpson. Do not do it. You got me?
Yeah.
Omar, Andy, no.
That may happen. That may be on the board when they
Please,
pick.
Bob,
I know, I'm just saying. I agree with you, but I would say that.
I was going to go so far as to say don't draft any quarterbacks because I keep hearing talk about taking Drew Aller or someone like that. If you really believe that you have a legitimate player in Will Howard, then just live with that and go sign somebody else off the street. You don't need to keep spending draft picks on quarterbacks.
Mike, do you
But
think
it
they
is
really
the most
do believe it,
important
though?
position of all time.
What they say about Will Howard, do you actually think they believe any of it? Because I refuse to believe it.
I don't believe it, but when I hear the head coach try to sell the owner that it's there, well, is he telling the truth or is he, being...
Hey, I said this during the job interview process.
Exactly.
I won't countermand it publicly.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Listen, they have 3 picks in the 3rd round, 2 in the fourth round. That's where all these quarterbacks like Aller, like Carson Beck, that's where all these guys are rated, Nussmeier. So listen, you have a quarterback guru in Mike McCarthy. He has said on the record he wants to draft a quarterback in this draft. I think they're going to fulfill that promise, but I don't think it's going to be until late day 2, early day 3.
I want to ask you now, Mike, about a potential trade possibility. There's always this talk going on. We've heard a lot of speculation about Highsmith, Herbig. They have a whole bunch of people there. They have depth, security. Would they make a trade? Should they make a trade if they get a good offer for one of those guys? And if so, which one?
Yeah, I don't think they should make a trade for either of them. And I don't want anyone to think that I don't think that Nick Herbig is wonderful at what he does. But I'm a believer that he's not big enough to be an every down edge rush player. It's just there's too much importance on the run game. I think if he's out there down after down after down, he gets worn down. I love what he does as a relief pitcher, so to speak, a change-up guy, someone who comes in and rushes the passer with an acceleration I literally haven't seen since Lawrence Taylor. He's that good at it. But it's one specialty. Paul Simon, long time ago, would have called it a one-trick pony, and it's a great trick, but it's not something that I think that you should build a team around, a defense around. And if somebody else wants to overpay for that, I might be tempted, but I still like having him as that extra strength.
Ironically enough, if we were back in the days when teams ran the ball more, but as a result or a consequence, you had a real base defense in there all the time with a nose tackle and 2 big defensive ends, you could hide his deficiencies or his sort of light frame behind maybe 3 big dudes up front. Well, now you're not putting those personnel groupings on the field. You don't have a 330-pound guy in there to eat up a couple blockers. So I do think what Mike said about him, especially in this division where we know every team wants to kind of run the ball, if not very much run the ball, it looms a little more.
Would you do it?
I wouldn't do it, but I do think if they were thinking about it, Bob, they would have put more focus on edge rushers in this draft. They did not bring one edge rusher in for a top 30 visit. It's almost like they're not even looking at those guys, which tells me they're going to play it out with this group of 4, a very good group, and then we'll see how it plays out next offseason.
I have 30 seconds. Yes or no, Aaron Rodgers' decision before the draft?
Please. Sure.
That's not no.
Before the draft, what do we have, 72 hours? No, he's going to make this go even longer, and I'm just going to put my head in my hands.
Yeah, the next thing that's going to happen is there's going to be an opera based on how he's gone through the last 2 springs.
Is Mercury in retrograde? That's your answer. I don't know.
We'll be looking for Chevy Malibus in the South Side during draft week.
So
I'll say yes.
you think yes? Okay, we'll find out. It all starts on Thursday. Will we have an announcement coming up on Aaron Rodgers? Hope to, one way or the other. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Pirates, who are off to a 13-9 spot, and guess what? That puts them in 3rd in their division. How tough is that division? We'll debate next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Pirates winners again today. That's 2 of 3 from Tampa. Puts them at 13-9, but in third place in their division. Mike DeCourcy, is this the toughest division in baseball, or do you think it's just early season kind of minutia?
It's hard to say exactly, but every team in the division does seem to have some strength and some life to it. You look at the Cubs, they have the roster that everyone thinks is the most powerful in the division. The Reds have been really resilient and winning a lot of close one-run games. The Pirates have hit the ball at a level. I mean, think about it. When this season began, who was saying the Pirates would be pounding the ball at the level that they are? So I think you have to look at it as right now. I mean, we're almost to the end of April, and you have to look at that as a really intriguing division race. A lot could change, but it could really be fascinating from between now and September.
I mean, my biggest point of frustration about this start has nothing to do with the Pirates. It's that the Brewers and Cardinals both apparently got an extension on their respective deals with the devil, because Jordan Walker is suddenly mashing the ball for the Cardinals. Weatherholt from Mars, of course, looks awesome, like he's going to be a stud for years to come. And then I don't even know what's going on with the Brewers. They just keep winning baseball games. I do think the Reds could come back to earth. The Cardinals should. I think the Pirates have clearly proven that they are better just by run differential. They're not winning cheaply, Bob. Right. They outscored their opposition by 17 runs on this 7-game homestand where they only went 4-3. I think they're going to be there for the long haul. I think it's kind of a little jab to the ribs that the NL Central decided to be good all at the same time.
It's going to be fun, right? I mean, look at 2013, 14, 15 when the Pirates were in contention. There were some great teams back then, the Cubs and the Cardinals. Pirates never could win that division, so this year it's going to be interesting. Can you win the division? It's super important. You don't want to be in those, those short series in the postseason. Can they get it done this year?
Are you buying Mike O'Neill Cruz? And I remember after one game, people were wanting him benched because he made a couple of misplays. I mean, do you think this is sustainable? Not to the level he's met, but at least Yes,
I think you can tell that he's done work on contact being important. So much emphasis was placed on how hard he hit the ball and not enough on how often he hit the ball. But I think he did a lot of work in the offseason, and you're seeing now the product of that work. He is much more oriented toward contact. He still wants to hit it out, and he's done that successfully. But I like the fact that he put so much work into becoming a better left-handed hitter against lefties.
If he had the flu for the first game of the season and didn't play, people would be over the moon about him. That first game where he cost them all those runs and had Skeens' ERA up near 70, that soured so many people. But he's got as many hits against left-handed pitching as he had all of last year already.
3 home runs against lefties.
And 3 home runs. He's mashing lefties. He still has some bad at-bats. I thought he had some pretty rough at-bats today, just looked at a strike 3, was flailing. But he looks like a guy very serious about the craft when he's up there. I was in the ballpark Friday night. I still have no idea how he hit that ball, pitched where it was, to where he hit it out of the park. And I think he looks like a guy that's much more serious about the job. And so I am buying the hitting.
By the way, good first pitch. Ceremonial first
pitch.
Right
over the The haters can say I lobbed it because I kind of did, but that thing split home plate, Bob.
It did. It didn't matter. It was like one of those
Billy Cook,
pitches.
very nice guy, and he played a nice little role this weekend for them. He was the guy catching it.
It was really good. O'Neill Cruz, do you like what he's done so far? Do you think it's sustainable?
I don't have any problem with his hitting. I still worry. We just got done talking about how tough this division is. I worry August, September. If you're in a pennant race, the bad defensive play in a big game, that's what I worry about. I still don't think he's a good defender.
Okay, on that topic, what is their biggest problem? Defense, pitching, so I'm talking about relief pitching.
I think the middle relieving has been problematic, but I still put that down somewhat to this being April. Not that it necessarily gets better, but that it gets less important as the starters start to go longer. We've seen Skeens pitch 5 innings. When he's pitched very effectively, it's just early. They don't want to wear him out. They don't want to put him out there in bad weather where that might lead to an injury. Same with Keller. They've cut him off at as few as 75 pitches. So I think in the end that will work itself out. I think he's right that the defense is going to be a problem if it doesn't improve in some way.
I'll just quickly say I think it's the middle relief as their biggest issue, and the good thing is you can fix that cheaply and quickly in baseball. Sometimes you don't even have to trade. You can have guys come up from the minors. Jared Jones comes back. If they decide not to make him a starter right away, you just have a 2-inning fireballer back there. Their defense hasn't been good, don't get me wrong. They've had Keystone Cops moments out there. I've been quietly following Cruz pretty closely. He does look more comfortable He's calling people off. He's taking charge out there. Griffin is very smooth at short. I think they have better infield defense than it might appear. It's can guys like Reynolds hold up their end of the bargain and get to enough baseballs. But to me, it's the middle relief.
Pirates have a day off tomorrow, but again, 13-9 start. Pretty good stuff. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bengals made a trade. The NFL draft is here, and they're not going to have a number 1 pick. Details next, right here on the number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Number 1 Cochran has gone all in on Audi. 2 showrooms, 3 locations. Pittsburgh's largest new Audi collection. Exclusive benefits through Club One Rewards. Because when you're a number 1 Cochran premier brand, you don't take half measures. Find Audi Pittsburgh on Liberty Avenue, Strip District, Audi Washington Racetrack Road. Shop online, AudiPittsburgh.com, AudiWashington.com. Time is of the essence. So, Bengals trade a 10th overall first-round pick to the Giants for Dexter Lawrence. Who wins that trade?
Love it for the Bengals. They're going for it. I applaud what they did. This is not a great draft, and they got a great player in return.
I look at the Giants that have needed some talent infusion for a while. They're going to have 2 picks in the top 10, so I kind of like it for them.
I love it for the Bengals. Lawrence is an absolute monster generating pressure from the nose tackle spot. No one else is even within 70 pressures of him in the last couple of years combined.
And time is the essence. They have Burrow.
I think it's a good move for Cincy. Way out of character, too.
All right, we'll be right back as we continue right here on the number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown. It's been fun. We are done. Thank you to these 5 gentlemen for being here tonight for the number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown. It's draft week. We have a special documentary coming up next because, you know, in Pittsburgh, football isn't just a game. It's a birthright. Forged in Friday Night Lights, where pride runs as deep as the rivers. And now we have 2 hometown kids. They carry that legacy forward, standing on the doorstep of the NFL, ready to make their city proud on the biggest stage. It's called Built for This, and it's next on KDKA.